My name is Riley Quinn, creative director at Luvellé, a clean beauty startup based in Los Angeles. For the past 4 years, I've poured every ounce of sweat and sleepless energy into turning that name from a scrappy crowdfunding project into a rising star in the natural beauty scene. And today, I stood outside the main conference room, clutching the launch plan for Empower series. The new product line my team and I had spent the last 6 months perfecting. What I wasn't prepared for was being cut out of the very thing I created. The rehearsal was routine, but the air felt heavier than usual. As everyone filed out, Miranda Wu, our CEO, and the same woman who once called me the creative brain of the company, gestured for me to stay. Standing next to her was Jonah, her 28-year-old nephew, fresh out of NYU's MBA program. The same guy who once bragged on LinkedIn about learning from the best at Luvellé. I had just closed my laptop when Miranda spoke. Riley, thank you for everything. But starting today, Empower series will be led by Jonah. I froze. Wait. What I asked? My throat tightening around the words. Our investors are looking to the future. Jonah brings a fresh vision, one that aligns better with Gen Z markets, Miranda said, her voice cool and rehearsed, like she was reading off a press release. I turned to Jonah. He smiled, reaching out to take the pitch deck still in my hands. I gave up my Thanksgiving break for this. I stayed up nights with Mia, tweaking formulas and shade matches. I said, gripping the folder tighter. Miranda didn't blink. I know. An Empower series is a fantastic launchpad. But we need a new face, someone who can excite investors, not just build great products. My fingers clenched around the strap of my handbag, the same one that carried my brown leather notebook, my roadmap since day one. It held everything: internal meeting notes, concept sketches, formulations, even Miranda's handwritten promise that if Empower succeeded, I'd be named co-founder. That promise now felt like faded ink on a page that had long since turned cold. I walked out of the boardroom, hollowed out. Greg, the head of commerce, caught my eye, then looked away. Lila, who once cried when I defended her in front of Miranda, stayed glued to her phone. No one said a word. Luvellé made its name off an organic, lead-free lipstick that went viral thanks to a few celebrities on Instagram. But lately, with the pressure of the upcoming funding round, Miranda had shifted focus image over substance, forcing the brand to chase TikTok trends. And now, pushing me out to make space for her nephew. As I stepped out into the brutal Los Angeles sun, the heat clung to my shoulders. I fumbled in my purse for my car keys, but my hands were shaking too hard, and they slipped onto the stone steps. I sat down right there, not caring that my dress probably cost more than Jonah's new blazer. An Uber passed by, then another. My heart pounded to the rhythm of a question I couldn't stop asking. What did I do wrong? My phone buzzed. A notification. Jonah had just posted a story. New direction, new energy. Grateful to Luvellé for the trust. Game changer. Empower series. I let out a bitter laugh. Did they really think I would just disappear quietly into the background? They picked the wrong woman to betray. 3 days after getting fired, I was holed up in my tiny Koreatown apartment, scrolling through my phone with no idea what I was looking for. Maybe an apology, a message of support, some tiny flicker of hope that all of this had been a mistake. But no. What I found instead was a live stream clip from Luvellé's private investor pitch leaked in a professional beauty group I used to moderate. And there he was, Jonah, wearing a gray blazer, fake glasses, and that smug, punchable smile.
behind him, bold on the screen, Empower Series. Be bold, be bare, be you. My tagline. Mine. I'd written it during a late-night brainstorm in February, right after analyzing user survey data Mia and I collected by hand. Jonah raised his hand like some polished TED Talk bro. We believe Empower Series isn't just about beauty, it's a statement for a generation, tired of outdated beauty standards. Every word. Every graphic behind him, I knew them. The presentation deck I built on New Year's Eve. The packaging I sketched on a napkin at a bar with Jake. Every single element, except my name. My stomach twisted, like someone had punched straight through it. Then ding, a message popped up on my laptop. Instagram DM, burner account. Hi, Riley. I'm a former marketing intern. I saw what happened, and it's not right. Found this in my inbox yesterday. Thought you should know. Attached was a screenshot of an email from Miranda to Jonah. Jonah attached is the full Empower Project folder. Study it closely before the Sequoia pitch. Try to keep the original tone. Don't get too creative. They're used to this direction. I nearly dropped my coffee. One thought rang loud in my skull. They didn't just cut me out. They toasted with cocktails made from my blood. I yanked open my laptop, pulled up the original Empower deck, timestamped 3 months back, side by side. I matched every phrase from Jonah's presentation. It wasn't inspired by. It was copy-paste. There was no doubt. I wanted to scream, to tell the world. But who would listen? All I could do was post a cryptic status on LinkedIn, sad to see a team's hard work get rewritten by internal politics. 5 minutes later, Greg texted me a single emoji. 10 minutes after that, Leela unfollowed me on Instagram. An hour later, Miranda called, Riley, I know you're hurting, but if you continue making insinuations, we'll be forced to respond legally. My hands trembled, but instead of deleting the post, I edited the caption, right is right, wrong is wrong. And timestamps don't lie. Underneath, I posted a blurred photo of my brown leather notebook. They thought I was just another overworked honeybee, drained and disposable, but they underestimated the one thing that makes creatives dangerous memory. I documented everything. The next morning, an email came in from a freelancer I'd hired years ago. Heard Jonah stole your work. Not surprised. He pulled the same thing at his last job. One girl quit from the stress. If you need a witness, I'm in. I sat there in silence. So it wasn't just me. Jonah was the type who flapped his wings on borrowed feathers. And Miranda. She knew. She just needed a new face for the board. The truth was, Empower Series was never about innovation. To them, it was just a funding strategy. I typed back, thank you. I'll be in touch. Then I opened my notebook. Under February 12th, I'd written Empower, for those who've been underestimated, but never forget who they are. For the first time in days, my hands stopped shaking. The pain was still there, but now it was transforming. I didn't need to scream. I just needed to prove them wrong. I used to think I had a solid reputation in this industry. At the very least, I was someone with a voice, someone who helped shape the first Bare Bloom campaign, someone invited to speak at the Pasadena Women Founders Summit. But just 1 week after Jonah's pitch, every door I knocked on slammed shut. I sent over 20 emails to up-and-coming beauty brands, most of them in early funding rounds, no replies. Not even a polite, "we'll keep you in mind." A week later, I got a call from Kelly, my best friend from college and founder of her own indie skincare line. Her voice was tight, like she was bracing herself. Riley, I need to be honest. Someone from Luvellé reached out to one of our partners. They implied you're difficult, said you like to claim credit and even hinted at potential NDA violations if we worked with you. It felt like getting doused in ice water. I know you're not like that, Kelly continued, but I'm mid-Series A. I can't afford to make enemies with Miranda.
I laughed, though I couldn't tell if it was bitter or just broken. It's okay, I said. I get it. But the truth is, I didn't get it. How could someone like Miranda go this far? She'd kicked me out of my own project, stolen my ideas, and now she was cutting off my ability to survive. I started questioning every relationship I had in this space. Every handshake I used to believe was genuine. Every compliment that once made me feel like I belonged. It all felt hollow now. I tried messaging Naomi, my closest collaborator back in the creative team, the one who once slept overnight at the studio with me to meet a deadline. The message showed seen, but she never replied. I checked LinkedIn. Jonah had just updated his title to Head of Product, Luvellé. Under Achievements, he wrote, Lead Ideation and Branding for Empower Series. Currently in pre-seed funding stage with interest from Sequoia and A16C. I had to walk away before I shattered my laptop from clenching my fists too hard. That night, I opened a folder on my desktop labeled No One Knows. Inside were everything the first drafts of the packaging designs, audio recordings from brainstorming sessions, and a text from Miranda dated January if Empower succeeds. I'll consider giving you naming credit. Don't mention this to the board. Let me handle it. I trusted her. Trusted her like a damn fool. While I was scrambling to salvage the ashes of my reputation, something else collapsed. Ethan, my boyfriend since last year, the man who once told me I was the kind of woman who makes people want to be better, began pulling away. At first, it was shorter replies, then rescheduled plans. And one night, when I tried to FaceTime, he declined the call 3 times. An hour later, a text came in. Riley, you're in a sensitive place right now, and I don't think I'm helping. I think we should take some space. Please don't be mad. I didn't reply. I just locked my phone and let it fall onto the couch. For the first time in years, I felt like I had nothing left. No job, no friends, no partner, just the name Riley Quinn. Now whispered in industry circles as difficult, uncooperative, too intense for a modern startup environment. The next day, I spent hours cleaning my apartment, hoping that scrubbing the floors might somehow scrub away the shame clinging to my skin. While organizing a box of old paperwork, I found a sketch, an old logo, design a lantern inside a compact mirror, scrawled beneath it in purple, ink unshaded, for women who don't blend in. It was one of the early names I brainstormed back when Empower was still a messy idea. Miranda said it was too aggressive. Jonah had scoffed. No one wants to buy something that makes them feel other. But I believed the opposite. And in that moment, I realized if I wanted my voice back, I had to build something they couldn't ignore. That night, I wrote one email. Just one. I sent it to Mia. If you still believe in clean skincare for sensitive skin, I have a proposal and a war to fight. She replied in 2 minutes. I still have the original test batch, and I've been waiting for this message for 3 months. A small crack formed in the wall around me, but sometimes that's all you need. Because the light can only enter where something finally breaks. 4 days after Mia's message, we met at a tucked-away cafe deep in the Arts District, the kind of place where creative types come to sketch, pitch projects, or just plug into an outlet and daydream about building something bigger than themselves. Mia looked worn, dark circles behind round glasses,
hair tied back with a rubber band. But when she placed 2 small amber serum bottles on the table, I knew her fire was still there. This base still holds a low pH. No parabens, no silicones, she whispered, glancing around like the walls might have ears. The formula you drafted back in February, I didn't change a thing. They shut it down, said it wasn't mass market friendly. I picked one up and tilted it under the sunlight streaming through the window. Then we do it ourselves, I said. But not just a product, a message, she nodded, then pulled out a worn folder filled with dermatology test photos, feedback from early focus groups, and most shocking of all, a photocopy of the R&D batch log I thought was long deleted. This, she said, is everything you need to prove who really built Empower. That afternoon, I called Jake, the graphic designer, who almost got fired by Jonah for using outdated color theory. Jake left the company 2 weeks after me, but had saved the original concept packaging. I created cool-toned nude shades with shimmering silver trim. The very design Jonah dismissed as too flat, not viral enough, I kept all the source files. Jake said on Zoom, mood boards, mock-ups, the whole thing. Want to rebuild it. Not rebuild, I told him. Rebirth from what they threw away. And just like that, we reformed our crew, 3 people, 2 laptops, 1 small kitchen in Echo Park. I laid out my notebook across the table margins scrawled with scribbles. Loose ideas, messy sketches of color palettes. Mia revised the formulas. Jake started shaping a new visual identity. We called it Unshaded a Middle Finger, to the idea that women should ever blend in just to survive the system. Not neutral, I said. Not silent, and never invisible. To survive, I needed 2 things, proof and a new identity. I combed through an old external hard drive, digging into project notes. A folder labeled Raw Archives, not final, held a Word doc I'd created at 3:17 a.m. on February 14th. The file name, Empower, Brand, V1, Draft, Final. Final for real, Docs, classic agency style chaos. But the metadata didn't lie: creation date, author, edit history, no trace of Jonah anywhere. Then came the audio recording accidentally captured on my Apple Watch during a March meeting with Miranda. Her voice was crystal clear. You think Empower is yours? Without me? It's just a drawer of ideas. But we need another face now to keep quiet for a few months. And I'll make sure you're included. I hadn't stayed quiet, and they hadn't kept their promise. I saved the clip to a USB drive, named the file Let Them Burn, an MP3. A week later, Mia and I sat down with Lila, the former PR manager, who resigned after Jonah accidentally erased her name from the campaign's press credits. I'm not doing this for revenge, she said, voice shaky. I just can't keep living like a coward. I placed 2 printouts in front of her, an email timeline proving Empower was mine, and a screenshot of Jonah instructing PR to remove Riley's name from all internal and external materials. Lila stared at them. Then she nodded. I've got a list of journalists we worked with, and I know which ones still have integrity. We split the work. Mia handled formulation and production. Jake built out our brand identity from scratch on Shopify. I rewrote my story, not a public takedown, but a detailed timeline. Clinical, personal, raw. This isn't an accusation, I wrote. This is a record, and I have receipts. That weekend, I stepped onto my balcony and looked out toward downtown LA skyscraper lights, blinking like 1,000 unfulfilled promises. I remembered Miranda's face in that boardroom calculating, cold, treating me like a chip in some high-stakes trade. I whispered, You chose the wrong woman to discard. Because now, I wasn't chasing my old dream anymore. I was building something new. Not to compete. To endure on terms they could never control.
1 week after we finalized the first test batch of Unshaded, the blog post went live. Empower series a story that was never mine. It appeared on the Unfiltered Shelf, a behind-the-scenes beauty blog, known for exposing the unglamorous side of startup culture. The author was anonymous, but anyone familiar with Luvellé knew it was me. I didn't name names. I simply recounted the story of a female creative director suddenly replaced, her product reassigned, and the cold silence from those who once called her the heart of the brand. Within 24 hours, my inbox exploded. A lawyer representing Luvellé emailed a formal warning: cease all communications suggestive of confidential information leaks or face legal consequences. I forwarded it to a former classmate, now an IP attorney in San Francisco. She called me instantly. Riley, this is an intimidation tactic. Your post doesn't violate your NDA as long as you don't name individuals, expose proprietary formulas, or disclose protected materials. Good, I said, because I haven't even started playing dirty. 3 days later, a new article dropped, this time on the Beauty Ledger, a blog 10 times more influential. Empower series creator, accused of copying from former employer. It cited internal sources claiming that Unshaded was an unauthorized replica of Empower. Twitter exploded. Beauty influencers took sides. Some were brutal. You steal a product and call it reclaiming your voice, please. Toxic behavior is still toxic even when it's coming from a female founder. I scrolled through the tweets. Fingers numb. Then came the text from an unknown number. Don't think we don't know who you are. Shut. Unshaded down before it's too late. I forwarded it to Jake. An hour later, he called me, voice shaking. Riley, I didn't tell you this before, but Jonah messaged me a month ago. He said if I kept using old design files, I should reconsider because the IP isn't mine. I thought it was just a scare tactic. But now, I cut in. You kept the message. Right. Yeah, he said. I have screenshots too. I ended the call and opened my Let Them Burn folder. Created a new subfolder. Legal defense package inside it. I added metadata from all original designs under my name as creator. The audio of Miranda admitting Empower was built by me from scratch. An email from Mia confirming I had final say on the original formulation. And now Jonah's thinly veiled threat. We didn't leak it through the press, no official outlet. Instead, we sent it directly to a YouTuber named Sienna, who'd once lost a brand sponsorship for daring to call out a miracle serum that broke her skin out in hives. I attached the audio file and wrote, "You don't have to publish this. But if you've ever seen women in this industry get crushed for telling the truth, you'll know why I'm sending it." 3 days later, Kiana posted a video titled, "The Truth Behind Empower and Why You've Been Lied To." It hit over 1 million views in less than 24 hours. The comments section erupted. That's clearly the CEO's voice, and they're still denying it. Invest in Unshaded, that's the real creator. She's not playing the victim, she's fighting back. Respect. But I knew viral buzz wasn't the end game. Jonah and Miranda remained silent. No statements. No denials. And that silence only added fuel to the fire. Then came the call. A small distributor in Austin, one I'd pitched to weeks ago, finally reached out. "We saw Sienna's video. Our clients are asking about Unshaded. If you're ready."
we'd like to test 300 units. I sat there stunned. 300 units wasn't a huge number, but it was a beginning. We're not fully ready, I told him, but I won't keep your customers waiting long. That night, I checked Jonah's Instagram. He'd just posted a new photo standing in a sleek showroom, dressed in a black suit. The caption read, "We don't care about rumors. We care about quality. #RealCreators. Don't complain." I screenshotted it and sent it to Jake, Mia, and Lila. Apparently, we're just the ones complaining. Lila replied, "Good. Let's show them what complainers can do." Because this time, we weren't just telling the truth. We were delivering it straight to the right people at the right moment. And that moment was fast approaching. The Empower series launch party had just been announced, and I had every intention of showing up. Not with my voice, but with proof. I've never been the type to seek attention in a crowd, but sometimes silence is a sin. And tonight, I chose to stand under the lights on the very stage they once ripped from my hands. Luvellé hosted their Empower series launch party on a glitzy rooftop in West Hollywood, right across from the Sunset Tower. The guest list was strictly private. I wasn't on it, obviously, but I didn't show up alone. Lila, poised like the PR queen she is, walked me through the side entrance using a media badge she borrowed from a beauty editor she knew. Jake, in a soft, sand-colored suit, carried a tote bag with a portable projector tucked inside. Mia, posing as a product assistant, held a gift bag filled with a hard drive and a few carefully printed receipts. We arrived in the lobby at 7:45 p.m. The music was Woman by Doja Cat. Champagne cascaded from a 2-meter glass tower. Warm amber lights flooded the space, painting it like a dream, but one that felt manufactured to perfection. I spotted Jonah across the room, flashing a photo op smile like a man who'd never stolen credit in his life. Miranda stood nearby, hair twisted in a sleek French knot, wearing an ivory square neck gown, wine glass in hand. Still regal, still smug, like she was reigning over an empire built on illusion. I didn't greet them. I just watched from the shadows as old colleagues clapped for a thief. But I hadn't come to clap. At exactly 8:10, the lights dimmed. The MC walked on stage. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the creator of Empower series." Jonah Woo applause erupted. Jonah stepped forward, waving like a Hollywood darling. He launched into his speech. Empower isn't just makeup. It's a story of strength, of pushing past limits, of becoming your truest self. And that was my cue. I stepped forward into the light, the crowd murmuring around me in confusion. Jake flanked the projector screen. Mia pulled the USB drive from her bag and plugged it into the pre-connected laptop, and I spoke clearly into the MC's mic. And now, for the rest of the story, the part Jonah never told. The MC's face went pale. A few event staff began to approach, but Lila intercepted them, flashing her badge and whispering, "Just an approved guest segment, internal team's idea." The presentation lit up. First slide, the original Empower series packaging designs, timestamp February, creator Riley Quinn. Next, a scanned page from my notebook filled with brainstorm notes, meeting dates, and one handwritten line underlined twice, Empower. Unedited. Not filtered for mass appeal. Then came the video clip. Jonah, in a private video call, casually saying I only used the original design because I didn't have time to redo it. Riley's gone. So who cares? The room stirred like a fuse had just been lit. And finally, the audio. Miranda's voice. "Stay quiet for a few months. and I'll make sure you get something. Silence. A weighty, breathless silence. Then the flashbulb started. A reporter from Beauty Digest called out Jonah. How do you respond to these documents? Miranda stepped forward, ready to speak, but I raised a hand and cut her off. I'm not here to reclaim the spotlight. I'm here to remind you, reputation isn't built on theft. It's built on truth. A voice rang out from the back. Unshaded is the real empower. Heads turned. It was Sienna, the beauty YouTuber, who broke the story. She held up her phone, live streaming to nearly 80,000 viewers. Jonah froze. Miranda's mouth was shut tight, but for the first time, her eyes flickered, shaken. I stepped down from the stage. I didn't need to say anything else. The evidence had already spoken. A few minutes later, Lila leaned in and whispered, "You should go now. I'll handle the fallout." I nodded and walked out into the Los Angeles night. The air was cool, my breath heavy, like it carried 4 years of betrayal, silence, and swallowed fury. Tonight, I didn't just crash on a launch party. I brought down a production. In front of the very audience they tried to erase me from. 3 days after that unforgettable crash party, the name Riley Quinn started resurfacing online, but this time, it wasn't paired with fired. It was the woman who stood up for the truth. Sienna's live stream video hit over 4 million views in 72 hours. Twitter lit up with the hashtag #YutchEmpowerTheReal. A beauty editor at Allure posted a photo of my notebook. Caption, "Inspiration comes from lived experience, not bloodlines and boardroom deals." On day 4, Luvellé released an official statement. "We apologize for the lack of transparency during the development of the Empower series. Ms. Miranda Wu has resigned as CEO, and we are reviewing all internal creative policies." Jonah. He wiped his Instagram, locked down his LinkedIn, and ghosted the media. Some bloggers even resurfaced old allegations from his previous stint at a company in Austin. The once rising star Nephew was now a startup punchline. As for me, I didn't feel victorious. Not right away. The hate still came, threatening emails, anonymous DMs. People accusing me of going too far, saying things like, "Women like you ruin your own chances when you can't keep your mouth shut." But the hate was drowned out by something louder: solidarity. Hundreds of messages from strangers. A Black engineer wrote to say she'd been pushed out of a product campaign for not fitting the brand aesthetic. A single mother told me she gave up her skincare dream because investors didn't want someone with a toddler. And a college student messaged me, "Riley, I'm going to study branding because you showed me women like us can win." Unshaded, that too abrasive line Miranda once dismissed was now stocked in 3 boutiques across Texas, Colorado, and Portland. We sold out the initial 300-unit run in a single week. I leased my old office space in Silver Lake. It used to be a scrappy 3D printing studio back when I first graduated. The walls were peeling, the floorboards uneven, but the sunlight hit just right. Mia sat across from me, perfecting a new lip balm formula. Jake sketched second batch packaging on his iPad. Lila managed our Etsy and Shopify orders, a tiny team, but it was mine. Some days I'd sit alone in that room and replay the old audio clip of Miranda. Her voice still smooth, still smug, without me. "You're just an idea sitting in a drawer." I laughed. "No, Miranda, I'm not just an idea anymore. I'm real. I exist in the very thing you tried to suffocate." I didn't lose everything, but I paid a price. Ethan never reached out. Naomi, once my closest colleague, is now at Luvellé's new branch. She hasn't mentioned me once in any article or post. Some losses don't get reversed. But one morning, as I stepped into the coffee shop near our office, a young barista looked up, her eyes widening. "You're the woman from the Empower story." "Right, I read your piece." "Thank you for not backing down." I smiled, took my coffee, and stepped into the morning light. On my lips was the first unshaded lipstick shade, Resolve 01. I didn't make it to be a symbol. I made it. So I'd never have to be silent again. And this time, my voice didn't need a mic. It was loud enough because it was built on truth.